So, hello everyone, how are you? First thing, please let me know in the chat box if I'm audible to you or not. Am I audible to you all? Yeah, hi everyone. Okay, fine. So, as you all know, we are here for learning HTML and CSS today. So, before we start, let me give you all my intro. So, I am Vibhor Jain, pursuing my BTech from Delhi Technological University um, in computer science, and I worked as a full stack developer in my previous internship in Campus Private Limited, and I'm upcoming software developer intern at Tower Research Capital, which is a high frequency trading firm. Okay, so this is all about myself, which I want to tell you guys. So, not wasting much time, so let's start with the basics of HTML CSS for which we are here today. Are you all excited? Please let me know in the chat box. Let's make this live and session interactive. Okay, so let's start. Um, Let me share my screen. Is my screen visible to you all? Okay, so first thing what we want to learn regarding HTML and CSS is that what is actually web development. Okay, so web development refers to building websites. So whatever websites we see on the screen and whatever websites we use in our daily life, they all are being created using web development. Now, what web development requires? Web development requires some scripting language, and there are two sides of web development. One is client side, which is also known as front end, and one is server side, which is also known as back end. So let's now see what is the difference between these two, that client side programming and server side programming. Okay, so what is client side programming? It runs on the client's browser. That basically, suppose I am logging my account on Gmail. So whatever I am able to see is known as client side programming. Okay, so what it uses HTML, CSS, React, JavaScript, all these languages. On the other hand, I have server side programming, which is also known as backend. It basically brings my data, solves my queries, which I ask from the client side programming. So let's see it more clearly using one thing, that suppose this is my screen. Okay, so if this is my screen and I am asking server to bring something. Okay, so from this screen, this is known as front end part. Now when I make any request from this screen, from my this screen to server, it goes to backend, and from backend it brings that data or it solves that query. So this is backend part and this is front end part. HTML and CSS both come in front end part. Okay, so moving ahead, now let us see what is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, so HTML basically stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Why it is useful and what it does, we will see. It basically structure my page into elements or whatever things I want in my page. While CSS is used for cascading style sheet and we use it to improvise our appearance or look-wise things. JavaScript is used for functionality part. So let's take very small example and very clear example for this purpose. Suppose I have this car. This is a structure of car. It does not have any mirror. It does not have any lights. Nothing. It is only iron structure of car. It is considered as HTML. Now, if I paint this car, add mirrors and add glasses to this car, now this becomes my CSS. That means my structure is also there as well as it is looking good. Now, what if I add engine to this car? Once I add engines and all the functionalities to this car, I'm able to drive this car as well. This is known as JavaScript part. Okay, so are you guys clear what is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? HTML is just basic structure. CSS is once we add decoration or once we add the design to it, and JavaScript is once we add functionalities to it. Okay, so let's move on. Let's now start practicing or creating one HTML file, which for which we all are here. So for this, I want you to create a new folder on your desktop screen. First thing, I want you all to work along with me, like practice along with me. This is web development, and you are able to do it only when you are doing it with me. Okay, so you also have to do the same thing what I am telling you to do here. Okay, so let's create one folder. Let's name it HTML CSS. And what I have to do is I have to open it using my VS Code. Installation for VS Code is already provided in the link description of this video. So in case you have not downloaded it yet, you can download it from there. Here I will create one new file. Let's name it as practice.html. So .html is the extension for HTML file. Okay. So this is my, I have created one HTML file. Now, what is the syntax of writing HTML file and how to do it? So basically, first thing what I'm going to write here is it's doc type HTML. Now, all of you wondering what is this? So basically, if I am developing one web page, if I am creating one website, I want my browser to know that this is website, this is HTML website. For that purpose only, I have to write this thing. That means type HTML tells my browser that current code or current file is HTML file, and I have to render it in the form of HTML. Okay, is this thing clear? This is used for rendering part. Next, whatever content is there in my HTML file, it has to be wrapped up in HTML. Now, how it is wrapped up? See, let me comment here. For commenting, we have to use this thing like exclamation mark and two dash followed by further two dash, that is for closing comments. So this is my opening tag in HTML, and another one is closing tag require one forward slash in front of the name. So this is closing tag, another above one is opening tag. Okay, so apart from it, now, after HTML basically contains two things in it. One is head and another part is body. Whatever head contains metadata which I am having for my website. For example, for my website, I will be needing title of the page, I will be needing what is the car set value of the page. I will be needing styles sheet. I will tell you what is all these terms, style sheet, and how to link those sheets afterwards in CSS part. Now let's just focus on, we have to create one head part and another part is our body part. So in body part, whatever we want to display user on our page comes under body part. Okay, so in head part I have title, link to our style sheet, and so on. In our body part, the content which I am displaying over my page comes under body part. So how to check what which I am displaying, how it's look, how to preview my page? For that, I want you all to go on this extensions and search here live server. Okay, so once you search live server, there we have this live server, and you have to click on it and you have to install it. Once installed on your system, you will be able to see here you have go live button in the bottom right corner. Okay, so for now, if this is the page, I have to save it, and once I go live, it will basically take me here. Now my site is live. By live I means whatever changes I will do here, I will be able to see on my Google browser. Okay, so let's split the screen now, it will be easier. Let's do it in this way. All right, is it clear to you all? Okay, let me increase the code size. Is now code visible to you all? Please let me know if code is now visible to you all or not. Okay, fine. So let's move ahead. Now, what if I write in my head? I discussed that one thing is title. What is title? So basically, title is whatever I see here. What is the name of my website? It is used in search engine optimization as well. Now we are not going to detail what is search engine optimization. It is just that what comes appear as your website name. It's known as title. So let's say we today put our title as HTML CSS. For this page, for this website, for this page, let's put only HTML practice and let's save it. Now, once saved, are you guys able to see that here it changed to HTML practice now? Okay. If not, let me zoom. Let me zoom it in. Are you able to see it? It's HTML practice now, which means that my title of the page is HTML practice. Now, let's come to body part. Whatever I put in body, let's say I put I am Vibhor Jain, and let's say what happens is complete body part is being displayed on my browser. I am Vibhor Jain is being displayed on my browser. Okay. So now whatever I have written here, I am Vibhor Jain is here. I am Vibhor Jain. This is known as rendering, that my body part is shown on or displayed on my browser. Okay. So now let's move to another thing, that am I going to write all the things in this format only? Like I am Vibhor Jain or whatever I want to display on my page, I have to write in this format only. That's not actually true. We have different types of elements present in HTML which we use while making any website. So what are those elements? We will see one by one. So first of all, let's see about what are paragraphs. In general English term, what are paragraphs? Paragraphs are basically different types of sentences, and two paragraphs are having space between them. This is known as paragraph in English. Similar the case in HTML also. For paragraph, we have element p. Remember this thing, all elements have opening tag as well as closing tag. In VS Code, if you write opening tab, it will auto-complete it. Okay. Now in between, if I write I am Vibhor Jain and I save it, now this appears here as a paragraph. Okay. Now what if I want to switch to my let's writing another paragraph, that I am taking session today. Now if I save it, here I can see that there are two basically there let me zoom it in. So now it will be more clear to you all. It will be more visible to you all. Here are two sentences, two paragraph. First one is I am Vibhor Jain, and second one is I am taking sessions today. So this is what paragraph do. It basically divides, or it basically write my sentence whichever written in one paragraph as separate sentence rather than combining these two. I am Vibhor Jain is separate sentence and I am taking session today is separate sentence. This is what the work of paragraph is. So now let's move ahead and let's see what if I want to make one heading here. So for heading part, the HTML provides us with six headings, six types of heading. These are basically varies on different sizes, font weight, and font size. So for heading, we have H and then number from 1 to 6. So let's try using H1 element in my H1 heading. If I write it, it as heading 1, and now save it. So once I save it, it becomes like heading 1 here. Okay. So this is known as heading 1. Okay. So let's try another heading also. H2 using heading 2, and make sure one thing, that you all are in sync with me, that you all are doing the same thing which I am doing here. it will be easier for you to learn once you are doing it with me only. Okay, so let's try another heading, that is heading 3 also. Once I save it, you can see the difference between these three headings. Heading 1 is having more, largest font size and font weight, then heading 2, and followed by heading 3. So there are total 6 types of heading in HTML. So let's write them all. And once I save it, you can see there are 6 types of heading, and these are available as heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, 5, 6. And font size of heading 6 is the smallest, and font size of heading 1 and font weight of heading 1 is the largest. Okay, so let's move ahead. After heading, what we are going to learn is, see, now this page looks like only a very simple page because there is no CSS in it. As I told you, HTML is just for structuring the page, so we are learning HTML here. So that's why this page looks very similar, simple. And once we add CSS, why after learning CSS, this will look good. Okay, so let's start learning about list. What are lists in HTML? Whenever developer wants to put similar kinds of thing under one thing. Okay, so if I am making one site and I want to add recipe of something, I want it like in bullet points. Like first of all, take the milk and then add eggs to it or whatever I want to write. So what I want bullet points. For that purpose, I am using list here. So there are two types of list HTML provide us. So two types of list are, one is unordered list and another one is ordered list. Okay. So first of all, let's start learning with the unordered list. So let's make here one heading so that we can separate everything. Our topic is list, and in this we are learning unordered list. Okay. So once I save it, you can see here we have list and followed by unordered list. Now, what is the syntax of creating unordered list? We have UL tag for creating unordered list. So, what UL tag is? UL tag, we have to wrap all the things in UL tag so that our browser knows that whatever things is wrapped in UL tag is considered as unordered list. That I have to put a bullet sign in front of those elements. So consider this as your unordered list. It is wrapper of list. Okay. Now for each list element, I have to wrap it in li tag. Okay. So suppose I do this thing. Okay. So this is basically item one. Another thing is, if I add uh, another item, now this is item one and this is item two. So basically these are my bullet points added in unordered list. Now let's jump to our ordered list. So let's create one heading order list. And in order list, what I want to do, in ordered list, there are no bullet points. There are basically sequential numbers such as 1 2 3 or ABC or Roman numbers. Okay. So ordered, we have to use OL for ordered list. We have to wrap everything in OL. Okay, so OL is kind of wrapper. Now in it, we have to use LI only for list elements as we used in unordered list. So here, if I type item one, I can see that it is one and item one. That means this is in the order. So if I add another, so this is item two. Okay, is this thing clear to you all? Till here, if you have anything to ask, you can put it in the live chat box. I will answer there. Now, after ordered list and unordered list, what I have to do basically, suppose I'm writing one paragraph. Okay, so let's do it practically. You will be able to understand it practically. So today we are having session on HTML and CSS. After session, we will make one project as. Okay. So suppose this is the tag. This is what I want to write in my paragraph tag. Now, what if I want to make HTML and CSS bold? Okay. How to comment text? So for commenting text, suppose this is my text. I have written that this is comment. But need not to do anything. Just on this line, you have to press your control and forward slash. Just it, and this will automatically comment your statement. Okay. So suppose this is my paragraph tag, and this is the content of my paragraph. Now what if I want to make HTML and CSS bold? For that purpose, HTML provides us two things, that is emphasis and strong. Okay. So for emphasis and strong elements, emphasis makes my elements makes my text italic, and strong makes my text bold. Okay. So, let's try it on my HTML. If I wrap it around strong, then it will automatically make my HTML CSS bold. Are you not able to see that today we are having session on HTML CSS, and as HTML and CSS is wrapped around strong, so that's why HTML and CSS is bold here. Now, what if I want to make my project italic? For making project italic, what I have to wrap it around is EM. EM is used for emphasis. Okay, so once I wrap it around EM, you can see my project is italic now. So for a strong, we have to use a strong keyword, and for emphasis, we have to use EM. Okay, now what if I want to make my one word italic as well as strong? So suppose I want to make project strong as well as italic. I have to wrap it in EM as well as strong both. So let's say this is the case, and I'm wrapping it up in strong as well as EM. Now, as I have already mentioned EM before strong, what I have to close first is I have to close my strong first. Okay. So whatever is written, it is in the nested form only. That is strong appears and then strong close, then EM and then EM close. This is the format, and once I save it, you can say project is italic as well as bold now. So this is the work of emphasis as well as italic. Okay, so let's try doing one thing now. Suppose this is my paragraph and I'm writing, hello, how are you? What are you doing? Suppose these three are the sentences. Now, you guys will tell me how it will appear. It will appear in the similar way in my browser or not. You guys have to tell me in the chat box. Okay. So, what will happen once I save it? You can see it's coming in one line only. Why? Because everything wraps in the p tag or p element. It basically prints it in the same line. Why? Because it never considered this enter in my browser. Okay. So what if I want to make it appear in three lines? For that purpose, I have to use br tag. How to use br tag? So hello followed by br. Now what I did here, after br I just put slash. Why I did so? Because these are considered as self-closing tags. We need not to make any another closing tag for br or hr tag. These are considered as two self-closing tags. Okay, so if I write it in the way, who are you, then br again self-closing, and what are you doing. So what if I now save it? Once I save it now, see, it will appear in three lines. Hello, how are you? What are you doing? What BR tag is doing? BR tag basically tells my browser that you have to leave this line now and you have to enter into next line. Okay. Okay. So as I told in between that BR and HR are the two tags that are self-closing. So what is this HR tag? Okay. So let's see what is HR now. It is also self-closing. So let's try what it is. Let's save it. What happens? Here we get one horizontal line. Okay. This is what HR does. HR basically gives you one horizontal line in your web page. Okay. So now let's move to another thing which is very important, that suppose you're building one website and you want one content in your website that when user clicks on this button or takes anything, he or she should visit another website. And this happens with us all, like we when we click on something, we visit any other, we go to any another website. Okay. Yes, Naveen, we can write BR in this format also. So if I remove this will work fine. Okay. So there is no need to put slash also. It's a self-closing tag, but we can put slash. It's generally it's a very simple format to put slash or display self-closing tags. Okay. So where were we? We were basically learning about that what if I want to make one content that whenever user clicks on that content, he or she automatically reaches or visit any another website. So these are basically known as links in our HTML. And how to create them? We use a tag for creating link. Okay, so let's try creating it. We will leave this page and clicking. Suppose this is my sentence, and I want after clicking on this clicking me, I reach to another page. What I have to do is I have to wrap it in a tag. Okay. Now, once I wrap it in a tab, are you once I wrap it in a tab, are you sure that I'm able to click it? No. Why not? Because I'm not providing here where to reach. I'm saying that I have to reach somewhere else after on clicking this site, on clicking this text. But I'm not telling my browser where to reach. So for that purpose, I have to use href attribute in it, which basically tells my browser where to reach. Okay. So suppose I just put ActiveJob website only, activejob.com. Okay, in it. So now once I save it, as I provided here href that we have to visit this site once we click on it. So it basically turns into clickable link, as you can see. Okay, so now once I click on it, it will take me to ActiveJob website. Is this part clear to you all? So this is how basically we create links in my HTML. Now another thing is in my HTML, if I want to add images in my web page, how to add image in my web page. Okay, so for adding images, first of all, you can basically download any dummy image from Google. I have already images in my laptop, so I'm just moving it to my folder, same folder which I'm using here. So now for images, as you can see, here are three images, one GIF and two JPG images, JPG images. So let's use one image. For image, image is also self-closing tag. Basically, I need not to provide it any another slash image in front of it. So what I want to provide for image is source from where we have to bring that image. So if I am writing source, for source I have to write src, and in image tag source is the attribute, and I have to provide location of the image from where I have to bring my image. So my image is, suppose I want to bring image.jpg. So when I write it and save it, you can see here one image is embedded in my browser. So this is how we embed image in our web page. Now, so let's try one thing that I want to embed this image hi.jpg. Okay. So is here I am not having hi.jpg in my folder. So will my browser provide this image to me or not? Can you guys please tell me in the chat box? So because I'm not having my hi.jpg here in my browser, so that's why it will not basically provide me in my browser. It will not show hi.jpg in my browser. So let's try saving it and then look. See, it's just showing me image icon that one image is there, but I'm not able to figure out from where to fetch this image. Okay, so this is the thing that my browser is not able to see from where to fetch this image. Hence it just displays me image icon. Now in websites, whenever we have this kind of situation, either image is not available, or the image is being corrupt, or anything else, that my browser is not able to bring that image. In that case, what I have to do, for safety purposes, I put one alt text here, that this text is to be displayed instead of image once my image is not there. Okay, so this is alternative image. Once I save it, okay, so you can see that hi.jpg was not there. Instead of hi.jpg, I have one text here. This is alternative to image. Okay, is this thing clear to you all, that we have to use alt for this purpose only? This is alt attribute. If my source image is not there and my browser is not able to figure out where to bring that image, then it will display alternative text instead of my image. Okay, so after image, let's move to another thing which is very important in HTML. Let's first of all take some br tags. Now, very important thing which we will be requiring very frequently while building any web page, that is table. Okay. So for understanding table, what we have to do is, for table we have to wrap all the content in table tag. Okay. Anything in table tag will appear like a table which has row and columns. Okay. Rows are horizontal and columns are known as vertical cells of the table. So let's create one column for one row. For one row, suppose I have three columns. Let me tell you the structure of the table first. I have three columns: name and subject and grade. Okay, these are my columns for the table. So for creating one row, I have to wrap its content in tr. Tr is table row. Okay, so I have to wrap all the contents of that row in tr, and in tr for individual cell. For individual cell, I have basically I have to create td element. For t in td, if I write one name, let's say Vibhor, and another cell contains subject, so let's say write maths, and for marks, let's say we write 50. Okay, so once I save it, as you can see here, it is being displayed Vibhor maths 50. So these are three columns of my table. Now, if I create table in this format, will my any user be able to understand that what I want to display, that what is Vibhor, what is maths, and what is 50? Even I am not able to clarify what are these things. For that purpose, we have table headings. So on the top of my table, I have to create one row which don't contains td, which contains th. Th represents table heading. So my first table heading is my name. My second table heading is my subject. And my third table heading is my grade. Okay. So once I save it, you can see here name is Vibhor, subject is maths, and grade is 50. Now if I just copy paste it here, save type, Now, if I write here Anuj and English and let's say 100, now if I save it, it will display like table name Vibhor and Anuj, subject maths and English, grade 50 and 100. Okay, is this in clear to you all? This is the syntax of how we create table in HTML. Okay, now one important thing that help us to interact with users. Suppose we have one website, and in the website that I want feedback of users that how this website is. What I will do, I will ask users. I will create one form on my website. Users will fill that form. So what is the important thing here to learn is uh, that we have to learn how to create forms. Okay, so for learning forms, first thing is as usual we have to wrap everything in form. Okay, in as we did in table, we wrapped everything in table. Similarly, we have to wrap everything in form. Now, once we wrap everything in form, we have there uh, two things which I want you to clear: input as well as label. Okay. So, what is label? Label is considered as the parameter or value which I am asking to user. Like you have to fill your first name, last name, that I will be displaying to user as a label. That this field is for first name, this field is for last name. Now, input is considered as a field or text box in which user will write their input. So let's try creating one label that says first name and one input that says type is now see input has attribute type. Type means there are various types of input I can create like text, numbers, and many other things. Okay, so suppose this input is having type of text as this is first name. So let's create type as name. Now for connecting my label with my input, I will tell you that why we require to connect my label with my input and after some time. So we have to use for in my label that for what input I have to use it. So for f name, let's say I'm giving it name f name. What is the value of for attribute? Same must be the value of id attribute in my input to connect label with my input. Okay, so in my id as well I will put f name. Nice. So once I save it, you can see here is one input, first name, and in front of it I have one input box in which I can type whatever I want to type. Okay, are you guys able to create this thing? Please let me know in the chat box if you are able to create this thing. Okay, so moving further, let's create one another label for, let's say, l name, that is last name, and give it name of last name. And for here, let's create one input in which I am again. What will be the type of this last name? Type will be same or as first name or not. Type will be same as first name because both of our text type there is no different. So I will put text here only. Again, ID must be same as for. So for is L name. So here also my ID will be L name. Now what I want you to do is I want here to print last name that will disappear once user clicks on it. That thing is known as placeholder. What placeholder will do, it will put gray color text in my input box, and once I click in input box, my placeholder will disappear. So suppose I put here last name as my placeholder, and once I save it, you can see here last name. I am having this last name in gray color in my input box. And now once I click on it and once I start writing something, let's say J, my placeholder gets disappeared. Okay, so this is the use of placeholder, that it will tell users what you have to type here. Where we use it in email options, that this is the syntax of the email in which you have to type, or whenever we want user to let know that how in what syntax you have to type everything here. In then we have to use this thing. Now let's say I want to ask user to put his age as well. So label is age, and for age I want you guys to do it by yourself now, because you will now you are clear how to write for and how to write id. So id is same as for, and it's age here. Now age is text. Can we say we have to enter age in form of text or not? Definitely not. Okay, age is just a number. Okay, so what I have to type here is input type is number for my age. Okay, now when I save it, and what you will see on the screen, that I am not able to type anything from keyboard, from letters. Okay, it's only I'm able to type numbers here. Also I can increment or decrement numbers from this arrow key. Okay, is this thing clear? Okay, now no, Rohan, once we write placeholder, it's up to you whether you want to put label or not. Okay, in some forms we don't put label once we put placeholders. Now if I just decrease it, and what is happening here is uh, my age is going negative. Is it possible for someone to have negative age? Definitely not. Okay, so for that purpose what I can do is I can put one, as this is type number, I can put minimum and maximum value, and minimum value is 1. If I say minimum value is 1, now if I try bringing it below than 1, it's not possible to bring it below than 1. Okay, also I can put maximum age here also. At maximum age is 100 I say. So suppose I want to enter, once I enter 123 it will automatically bring down to 100. Okay, now now what I have to do is let's say I have to bring now select, for user I have to ask user to put their gender. Now for selecting gender, let's say I put label as gender, and input I put my id as gender, and what must be the type. I have to give users option male or female, right? And user have to select any one of them. That's also true. So for that option, um, yeah, for that option basically what I have to do, I have to put here type radio. Radio buttons are being used here so that user can select only one options from available option. Now uh, what I have to do, suppose I write here type, and name is name. Okay, so if I write here label gender is label is for male is first label, and if I write here male, and my input for male is male. Once I save it, I am able to see here male and one radio button in front of it. Okay, so let's create another option for female as well. Let's copy paste it, and instead of male, make female everywhere. Once I save it, you can see there are two options, male as well as female. Now try clicking on one of these. Let's say I clicked on male. Now try clicking on female. What is happening here? I am able to click on both of these options, male as well as female. Okay, so that must not be the true. Okay, so for that purpose, what I have to do is I have to put name same of both the radio button. Once my name is same, so suppose I am clicking here male. Once I click on female, my male one will not be selected anymore. Only female one will be selected. This is how I have to create my radio buttons. What is the common thing in radio buttons? I have to give them same name so that I am able to click only one of them. Okay. Now another thing is what I have to do is I have to create checkboxes. Okay. So let's say checkboxes are for multiple types. Okay, so in checkbox what I have to do, instead of radio I just have to put here uh, checkbox type. Everything will be same. What I have to do, I have to just put checkbox instead of radio. Once I do it, I am able to click both of them. Even name are same, I am able to click both of them as they are checkboxes. Okay, is this thing clear to you all? So this is a few inputs in my table in my form. That means name, my last name, as well as my age and another radio and checkboxes. Now let's create one final thing. Once user fill this form, he want to submit it. Okay, and now how will he submit it? There are two ways. Either I create one input button whose type is submit. Okay, okay, sure. So whose type is submit. So for input button, if its type is submit, I have to give value. What will be written in my input button? So if my input button, if my input is of type submit, it's going to be button. So let's save it and see what will be the output. You can see here submit button is created with value submit written in it. So whatever value I am giving here, it will come as output in my browser. So now I have one button in which I have written submit. Once I click on it, my form will be submitted, all this form. Okay, so this is the use of some creating submit button. So this is about form in HTML. Now as we have learned many tags and many things in HTML part, now let's move towards CSS part. But before moving towards CSS part, I want you to tell me that is everything clear till here or not. You can write it in the chat box. Okay, Narendra, for CSS part I'll go slow. We will see in CSS part how to give borders to table appove. Yeah, for age selected there we have a date type also. Let me tell you. So for let's say I have this input and I put here type date. Now you can see this input. I can select date here. Okay, this shows my calendar. So type date is for date of birth. Okay, I can calculate my age from date of birth. That's obvious. But for age, if I want someone to write age, we can select here number as well. Okay. Okay. So now as we have to move towards CSS part, I want you all to create one another file which name is tute.html. Okay, you have to create this file tute.html. Now again we have to put all these same doc type HTML and wrap these things in HTML part and then head and body part. Okay, so what we can do, we can just use exclamation mark here and put enter. Once we do it, you can see my boiler code or boiler template is automatically created by VS Code. Just try it. Put exclamation mark and then enter. Okay, and then save it. Your file will be created. Let's give it a title of CSS practice. And now if I want to make this page live instead of practice.html, what I have to do is here instead of practice, just write, okay, in your browser, if you write tube.html, now my tube.html will be live instead of practice.html. So let's close this practice.html. We don't need it anymore. So now let's see what is the CSS part and why we want to use it. As I told before, we use CSS part for styling our web pages. Okay, so there are basically many ways in which we can write CSS in our web page. Okay, so can we start with CSS part? Are you guys ready for CSS part? Please let me know if you are ready with CSS for CSS part. We can start with it. Okay, so for creating this boilerplate and just telling once more, we have to just put exclamation mark that is above one. We have to we have to press shift and one and then enter. Once we click enter, my VS code will automatically create this complete boilerplate in my tube.html file. Okay, once I create it, let's rename and give title space CSS text. Okay. This is it you have to do for creating boilerplate. Now in body part, let's say we create one paragraph that this is CSS file. Okay, so once we created that this is CSS file, let's save it. You can see this is normal text which we have seen in HTML also. This is CSS file. Now what if I say I write here having text color red? So if I'm writing this is CSS file having text color red, will it make my text color red? Only writing that my text color for this paragraph is red will it make text color red or not? No, because there are no parameters which I have given to it that makes it red. So how to do it? This is where CSS comes in part. Okay, so for CSS part, what I have to do basically is I have to write. I'm first telling you there are three ways of writing CSS. One is inline, one is internal, and one is external. We will see all of them one by one. Okay, so let's start with inline first. Inline means I am writing CSS in the same element I am using for HTML. So here I am using paragraph element for HTML. In this same paragraph tag I am passing CSS as attribute. This is known as inline CSS. Okay, so let's start writing it. In paragraph I'm writing style, and let's give this color red. Now once I save it, this now text is in red color. But what happens here? What is this style, color and red? Let me tell you what's happening here. Okay, so style tells that complete part which I'm writing after it will be my CSS part. Okay. Now, what is this color? This color is known as property. That means this is going to be property of this text which I have put it in my paragraph. And what is this red? This is value of this color property. That means if I am having property and I am value to it, my text will follow that value for this property. Okay, so there are many properties in CSS like color, background color, font size, font weight, and many more. We will go through them one by one, as well as we will learn throughout them in project as well. Okay, so after completing CSS, we will start making project. So let's run CSS. Let's learn CSS quickly. Okay. So as you can see, I have written color red here. What if I want to give it also background color yellow? After my color property, I have to add another property that is background color, and I will say yellow. Once I save it, you can see here background color is yellow and text color is red. Okay, is this part clear? Okay. Okay, so let's try making one heading that means let's say is inline CSS. Let's say this is my heading, and I am adding some styles to it. One style says that font, let's say for color first, color is now purple, my background color is aqua, my font size is extra large, and these are some properties which I am giving. These are properties color, background color, and my font size, and these are its values. That means purple, aqua, and extra large, X large. Okay, once I save it, see. This is having background color, this is having color, as well as my font size. Now, here are three properties written in this complete one sentence. Is not this messy that I am writing my CSS part along with my element? For removing that purpose, that means if I want to remove this my complete style from here, what I will use, I will basically use internal CSS. Then now how to write internal CSS? Okay. So for internal CSS, we will be using head part. In head part, we are going to write our internal CSS. How? So let's create one style. Wrap everything in style for CSS part. Okay. So in head part, everything is wrapped in style. Now, so suppose I want to write a style for this P and I'm removing it from here. Okay. Now I've saved it. It's look like normal text because no CSS is there for P paragraph tag. Okay. So in my style tag, if I write P, then one curly braces, and then I write color, let me red, and background color as yellow. Now if I save it, what you can see, it's now looks similar to what I have made it using inline CSS. Now how it works, let's see that thing. So this part, this P is known as selector. Okay, this P is known as selector. This color part is known as property, and this red part is known as value. So when we were learning it here, when we were learning it here, we have property as well as value. Here we have selector tells browser to which part we have to add this to which part we have to add is CSS. Okay, so my selector will tell, that means here my selector is P. So my selector will tell that I have to add all these properties, that means color and background color, to my P tags. All the P tags will now have same property. That means color of P tag will be red and background color will be yellow. Okay, is this thing clear to you all? Okay, so let's move forward. And now, what we are going to do here is, let's create one another thing here. Let's write for H2 as well. Okay, so for H2 we have color as let's say purple, background color as again any color whatever you want. You can try it by yourself as well. It would be great if you guys try it different colors by yourself. It will boost up your confidence as well as you will be able to do this thing by your own. Okay, so if I write this thing here and I remove it from here, now my H2 is also based on this styling. But let me show you one thing, that if I write my style here and here I write color as black. Now you guys will tell me what will be the color of this heading, purple or black. Here I have written in style I have written purple, and in inline CSS I have written black. Which one it will follow? You have to tell me in the chat box. Why black? Because inline CSS is having more priority than my internal CSS. That's why it's having color black here. Okay, so because of inline CSS, always inline CSS will override the property shown by internal CSS. So as your internal CSS has color purple, but inline CSS has color black, that's why color of this attribute, color of this heading is black. Okay, is this thing clear to you all? Okay, now what thing is I'm doing here is, for completing this thing, for completing any web page, for any web page I have around 400 to 500 lines of HTML for one website. It's very minimum lines I'm telling you. And if I'm adding CSS to same file or same page, my code will reach up to 1000 lines. Now what happens is, this code is not readable for anyone who is not from development or from any another user that is new to company. That CSS is also there, HTML is also there, and this code becomes lengthy. So what we do, we generally create separate file for my CSS part, separate file for my HTML part, and what I do, I merge them, I connect them with the link in my head part. So let's do that thing. Do this thing very carefully. You have to create one file here. Let's name it style.css. Okay, .css is the extension for CSS files. Okay, so let's name it style.css. After naming it, how to let's say write any the red and background color yellow. Okay, now I write style.css styles in for p tag in my um, style.css. Now once I delete it from here, I delete my complete CSS from my head and I save it, there is no background color and there is no text color in my p tag. though I have provided it here. Why? Because I have not linked my CSS file to my HTML file yet. For linking that thing, I have to create link here. Okay, and what is the relation? For link, basically, I have to link style sheet. Okay, and what is style sheet? What is the reference? What is the address of that style sheet? That style sheet is having address style.css. This is how I'm going to link my style sheet with my HTML. This is very important thing. This is very important concept, that how to link HTML and CSS files together. So do watch it and do practice it carefully. Okay, so once you save it, now you can see my paragraph is having color as well as background color. Why? Because this CSS file is linked with this HTML file now. So whatever CSS I write here, so suppose for H2 I am writing color as blue and background color as whatever you want. Once I save it, you can see here. Okay, and again this is black because I have not removed inline CSS yet. So yeah, once I save it for H2 as well, it looks like color is blue and background color is aquamarine. Okay, so now let's move further. Let's explore many more CSS tags we have, and once we explore it, we are going to make one exciting project based on HTML and CSS today. Okay, so okay, Naresh. Now I have to tell you some theoretical concept to you all. That is measurement types in CSS. What are measurement types? So currently we have two properties studied, that is color and background color. Now what we will study what are measurement types. Why we require it? Because we have to measure and we have to put borders, font size, font weight, everything in terms of some measurement. There must be some measurement units for them. Okay, so there are two kinds of measurement unit. One is absolute and another one is relative. Okay, so let's consider absolute one first. Pix. Pixel is one of the most useful unit we generally use while developing any web page, and its unit is represented as px. Okay, now what is pixel? How to measure it? Basically, pixel is mathematically it is considered as 1 by 96th part of 1 inch. Okay, so suppose we have 1 inch and we put it in 96 part, then one part is known as 1 pixel. Okay, yeah. So let's try out using pixel. So let's say I create here one paragraph tag. This is pixel unit. Okay. Now what if I add font size here to be 30 pixel? Once I save it, what happens is font size of all the paragraphs become 30 pixel. Okay, are you guys able to understand now what is pixel and how it is written? Like I have to write font size and then 30 pixel. Your VS Code will automatically complete all these things once you start writing, and that's perfectly fine. Make it autocorrect. Okay, it will help you guys. Font size is now 30 pixel for this paragraph text. Is this thing clear? Now, apart from it, we have relative values, relative units. So in relative units, first unit we have is em. Okay, now how em works. Suppose I have current font of this h2 heading, let's say x. Now if I give it font size of 2em, next font size becomes is 2x. That means em converts, em works on the basis of current size. So whatever current size is there, it will multiply my this factor with my current size and it will make that as my new size. Okay, so let's try it. So for h2, let's say we put here font size as 2em. Once I save it, you can see it's now double the size it was before. Okay, is this thing clear? Now my em is double the size of my previous h2. Okay, so another unit which I am having here is rem. Remember one thing, you have your basics regarding these units must be clear, as you will be using these units while making project today as well as anytime in future you will be requiring these units. Okay, so for rem is basically relative to root element. How relative to root element? What is the root element? Root element is my browser's window. Okay, so now if I mention anything in terms of rem, it directly measures in terms of it relative to browser's window. 2 rem means 2 times the size of browser's window default size. Okay, now as I said, inline rem is related to root element. What if I want my one of the font size based on its parent size? So suppose there is one box. Okay, it contains one paragraph, one heading. Okay, I want this heading based on the size of this box. I cannot use rem here. Why? Because rem is relative to root. So if I mention in place of in terms of rem, again it will measuring according to root. That means my browser. But for my uh, heading to be based on the size of this box, I have to use another measuring unit, and another measuring unit is percentage. Okay, so these are some units what for your relative. One is em, second one is rem, third one is percentage. Now how to check for your how to check for your this parent one? We have div in html. Now what is div? I have not told it before. Why? Because you guys will now be able to understand what is div. So let's see what is div. Suppose this is my complete page, and in this page I want this block as one. I want this block as one single block which has heading written in it as well as some content written in it. Now, what heading and content are there? Some heading and some content are, these two things are there. So for these two things, I have to wrap it in one box. Then I am using div here. Okay. Now understand what is the use of div. You guys can write anything in the chat box you want to. You want to ask anything, you can write in the chat box. And if this is clear to you, you can write yes in the chat box. It would be easier for me to interact with you when you write once you write it in the chat box. So let's try creating one div. So suppose let's make one heading here, heading of div, and my p tag. This is okay. So as my div is having now heading as well as paragraph, that means once I save it, you can see here heading of the div as well as this is the content of the div. This is one block. Now, how to make size of h3 based on size of div? First of all, let's say give size of div and its font size. Let's say 40 pixels. Everything written here is 40 pixel. Okay. Now, what if I give size of heading as 50% and save? It's more greater than, like, it's more than 50% more than 40 pixel of this div. Okay, so div is acting, what is div is acting like a block for heading, for this heading and this paragraph, like a container. Okay, so okay Raja, let me explain your div once more. In my this page, if I am having this complete container which contains heading, paragraph and other things. Okay, that so in coding part I can wrap this container in div acts like a container. Okay, yeah. So this is what div is. Okay, so now let's moving ahead. Let us now see how we can basically list our style our list. How we can list our, how we can style our list. So how to style our list? First of all, we have to create list, and this time I'm creating list fast so that as you guys know how to create list. That's why I'm creating list fast. Let's say I'm creating another list, and here I am writing some text here. Take out red, boil the milk, and these are three steps which I want to perform. So see, this is my list. Okay, I hope you guys are able to create this list by your own, as now you know how to create list. Okay, so if I want to design, if I want to style this list, then how will I style it? Okay, yeah. So for styling list, basically, what we have is see here I have list style circle. Let me show you with the help of marker instead. Here these are circle bullet points. What if I want to make it in the form of square or something like that? What I can do? This is how we style list. So for doing that thing, what I have to do here is in my style sheet, I have to for UL, I have to do list style as square. And once I save it, you guys will be able to see instead of circles, now I have square here. Okay, so is this thing clear to you all? That how instead of circle I'm making squares here in my unordered list. Okay, now what if I want Let's make one ordered list as well. So in my ordered list, let's say this is item 1, this is item 2, and this is item 3. Okay, this is my ordered list, and you know how it's gonna see, how it's gonna display. It's 1 to 3 in the form of sequential order, and item 1, item 2, and item 3. Now, for my instead of 1 to 3, if I want ABC here, what can I do? Similarly, as I did in UL, I have list style option here, and in list style, I can mention lower alpha. So, what lower alpha is going to do? Yeah, list style is going to tell my browser that what is the list style. Either it's 1 2 3 ABC, ABC, this a 1 2 3 Roman wala, and this 1 2 3 capital Roman. So lower alpha will tell my browser that you have to put lowercase alphabets in your list style. Okay. So in my list style, as I have put lower alpha here, once I once I save it, you can see here we have small ABC. That means lowercase ABC. Okay. So now after this OL, after this list, let's say I want all my list items of ordered list. Listen to my statement clearly. I want all my list items of ordered list with underline text decoration as well as bold. So I want these two properties for my ordered list. So for these two properties of my ordered list, what I have to do is, let me ask you one question first, and you have to write it in the chat box that will it work or not. I'm writing li here, and for underline we have text decoration. Okay, text dash decoration. It is the property which we are going to use, that how we want to underline. So suppose if I like underline value here, will it going to make only my ordered list items underline or not? You have to answer this in chat box. Exactly. What it will do, it will make my unordered list as well as ordered list, both of them underline. So let's try saving it and then see. Now my both the list items are underlined, but what if I want only my ordered list items underlined? So there is one thing I can write order list here, and now if I say, now you can see only items under ordered list are underlined. Why it's happening? Let's see. OL li. Now what my browser will see, it will first of all go to OL, that this CSS is for OL. In OL, it will see this CSS is particularly for li. Okay, then only it will make the css appear to my elements. So how it's happening? In my page, my um, first of all my browser will search for ol, and in that ol it will search for li, and then it will put properties in, given properties to those li. That's why I am able to make underline only ordered lists here. I hope this thing is clear to you all. So let's move further, and sorry, let's move further. And now what we have to do here is, sorry, I just closed that. Yeah. So as you guys can see, what I did here is, Let's make it, then you will understand. Okay. As I'm making one paragraph here, and if I save it, will it be colored red and background color will be yellow or not? Once I save it and once I view it in my browser, my text color is red and background color is yellow. But what if I don't want it in this way? I want in my web page, I want my this paragraph to be in this style and my this paragraph not in this style. So for that purpose, what I have to do is I have to make separate selectors for this p tag and this p tag. So now very another important concept of CSS, that is selectors. So we have two types of selectors in my CSS. One is class and another one is ID. Okay, so let's study about these two in very detail. So first of all, let's study about class. So class is the basically a selector which I give to my elements. That means I give it like a name. Okay, so suppose let's study it in very simple way. Suppose you are in a classroom and you are there 50 students. Every one of you have your names and ID not say, let's instead of ID right here roll number. Okay, you have two properties, names as well as roll number. So is it possible that two students of the same class, I want you all to be very interactive today and in this particular classes and ID, because this concept is very important. So I want you to active on the chat box while learning this concept. So can you please tell me, is it possible in a class that two or more students have same name? Yeah, very nice. Yes, it is possible. While is it possible that two students of the same class have same roll numbers? No, it is not possible for roll number to be same. So this is exactly the difference between class and ID. I can give same class name to many elements, but I cannot give same ID to any two elements. Okay, is this thing here? So now let's see how to use classes and how to write CSS using classes. So suppose I write CSS for my this class. Class is equals to not styled. Let's name it not style currently. This is not the naming convention we are using in future, but for now let's name this class not styled. Okay, now how to write CSS for this not style? Here I have to tell my CSS file that I am writing for not style class. How to tell? So there is one syntax which I will be using, dot and then class name. This is the syntax which we use for telling CSS or writing CSS for my classes. So let's use same syntax here. So here if I use dot not styled, and here I write background color as aquamarine. If I save it, see, for this paragraph tag I have my background color as aquamarine. Why? Because this it is having class not styled, no other component is having same class. Okay, let's try adding this class here, class not styled. Let's save it. What happening? It is having same class. As I said, I can allot same class to more than one element. Okay, so we can have same class for multiple elements. Similar, so I assign same class to my list item. Okay, so list item is having same class and its background color is aqua green, similar to my paragraph. Now, if I am writing classes in this way, then what is the use of id? Let's first of all make CSS only using id. Then I will tell you what is the actual uses of what are the actual uses of id. This is using id. Now, as an attribute, I pass id and let's name it PID. Okay, paragraph ID. So, how to access ID? As I access class using dot, instead of dot, if I write hash, then it says that this is ID. Okay, so let's try this in my CSS file. Here, instead of dot, if I'm writing hash and then I'm writing PID. Now, if I write CSS part for this ID, let's say any color you want to give. So see, this is how we are writing. This is how we are writing CSS for my ID, and here it appears. Now, what happening here is why I am using PID, why I am using ID, and what is the use of ID. See, you have this web page. You are having this content, and you are having one button. Okay, you want your browser that once anyone click on this button, this text gets disappear. We are not going to do this thing here because this is the part of JavaScript. But how our browser will be able to know that which part we have will he or she which part it has to be disappear using its ID. I have to pass its ID to browser that you have to take care of this part or this content which is having ID as given, and you have to disappear once I click on this button. Okay, this is the use of id. That is the reason I cannot give id, I cannot get same id to any other element, because if I'm supposing one content here also and both are having same id, then if I am now clicking on this button, both will get disappear, and I don't want both of them to get disappear. That's why id of for every element must be unique. Okay, so let's move further. So these are basically known as selectors. Now, very important concept of CSS that I want you to know. So we can use presentation for that purpose. CSS box model. Okay, CSS box model is one of the very important concept that you must know. It's very useful in designing any website. Okay, so let's understand it. So in CSS box model, suppose I have one content that this is content. Suppose its HTML code is this is content closing p tag. Okay, is this thing clear? Its HTML code is here and this is content. This is displayed on your web page. Now there are three terms in CSS: padding, border, margin, which you all must be clear of, and you will know now. Suppose this is my p. This is the box of my p tag. Okay, like here I have written content is there in this box. Now if I add some padding in the content, now how my p box will become? My p box will become like this, and content will come here. So extra space is now created inside my box. Okay, so inside my box extra space is created. This is known as padding. For border part, if I am now adding border, border comes after my padding. Okay, so let's create border here. So this is my border. Okay, now if I want some margin out of these complete box, so margin appears here. This is my margin. Okay, so it's more clear from here. This is content. After content we have padding. After padding we have border for that padding or for that element, and then we have margin. And there are four directions: top, right, bottom, and left. You have to remember this diagram, and it will be very easy for you all to understand. Okay, so let's practice this in code editor. So let's create one p tag, and I will give it class box model. This content, and what I will do is I will basically give it background color or just this I will give. Okay, so here also I will remove this property from my p now. So you can see this is my p tag, and it is only having background color of aqua, nothing else. So this is content part. Okay, so after it, what if I want to give padding to this content? For giving padding to this content, what I will give is padding, and padding is having measuring units of pixel, rem, em percent, whatever we have studied before. So let's say I give it padding 10 pixel, and if I save it, you can see now my box is having width and height increased, and this part is considered as padding. Okay, I hope this thing is clear to you all. So we are moving further. Let's give it now border. Again, for border, I'm just writing here, and complete syntax I will tell you after this. Okay, for border, let's say 2 pixel solid. You can just copy paste for now. After completing this box model, we are going to cover padding, border, and margin separately. 2 pixel solid and black. Only this thing you have to write, and let's save it. Now this is considered as border. Now content, padding, and border. What is remaining? Margin. So let's try giving margin to margin 10 pixel. Now this is now considered as margin, which is having on its left, right, top, and bottom side. Now is are you clear with the box model at content, followed by padding, then border, and then margin? Okay, so this is box model of CSS, which is very important for learning or for designing any website. You are going to use it everywhere in web development. So let's briefly learn about first thing, padding. So let's create one paragraph tag. This is for padding now, and let's give it class as padding. Now in this padding class, okay, I am adding padding as 20 pixel. How will you guys know? Background color. Okay. So if I remove this, it will look like this. Once I add padding, it will add 20 pixel padding, 20 pixel here, 20 pixel here, 20 pixel here, and 20 pixel here. 20 pixel padding is added to all the things. Okay. Now, what if I want to add padding only on the left side, or I want to add padding on left, right, different paddings on top, left, right, and bottom side? Okay. So as one asked, ये language center कैसे होगी? So for centering, this is for padding. We have text align and we can write center. Once I save it, now it is in the center. Okay. Text dash align. This is the property and its value must be center for putting text in the center. Okay. Now, what if I want to give it different padding on all the four sides? So for that purpose, we have one property of padding. That means if I am writing padding in this way, one, two, three, four, there are four boxes. First one denotes for top, right, bottom, and left. So if I give value four different values, then it is going to divide them and it is going to give them different padding on the four direction. Let's try it out. So if I'm giving it of padding of 10, 10 pixel, 20 pixel, 30 pixel, 40 pixel. Now what's happening? It is having 10 pixel here, 20 pixel here, 30 pixel here, 40 pixel here. So 10 for top, 20 for right, 30 for bottom, and 40 for left. Okay, is this part clear to you all? That I can give four different padding and it will assign it in the value of top, right, bottom, and left. Okay, now let's try one different thing. If instead of four values, I give two values, then what will happen? Let's change it. So now what's happening here is, as there are only two values, so it is considered as its first value for vertical and second value for horizontal. Okay, so now this is 40 pixel and this is 10 pixel. Okay, so if I am having two values, then one is for vertical and second one is for horizontal. Now what if I want to add padding only on the top side? So I have another property, padding top, as you can see here, padding left, padding right, and padding bottom. These four different properties gives padding on the direction specified in their property name. So if I write property padding top and give it 20 pixel, it will only give padding at the top end of 20 pixel. Okay. This is all about, you have to study about padding. Okay. Now after studying padding, see, for padding, and margin, both are having same types of concept. Only instead of padding, you have to write margin everywhere. Okay. So I'm not going to tell you in detail because we are going to cover this thing in while making project. That's why I'm not going to tell you this thing now. But it's same as padding. Padding top means margin top. You can also add margin top, bottom, left, right. All these four properties for margin as well. And if two parameters are given only, then they will consider as vertical and horizontal. Okay. Now let's come to borders. So for borders, let's create one. Let's add border in it only. Border syntax of border is first thing is we have to give thickness. It is given in pixels. Okay. Second thing, padding follows clockwise and all four properties are given. Yes. Yes, sort of padding follows clockwise. Top, right, bottom, and left. Yeah. First thing for border we give thickness followed by their uh, how what type of border we want. Solid, dash, or many types, and then we give color for our border, that what color border we want for our element. So let's try it out. As I said, first thing is thickness, so let's say first thing is 2 pixel. Second thing is our type, so let's say solid type. And third thing is color, so let's say red color here. Once I save it, you can see here we have 2 pixel solid border of red color. Okay. Now another property of borders and very important one is border radius. Okay, so in border radius, here we have cornered edge. Okay, so in cornered edge, if I make it, if I want to make it circular, then what can I do is I can basically just give it border radius, let's say 20 pixel. Now you can see now my borders are curved. Okay, now I can give border radius. Again, for border radius, same kind of concept as follows as in padding and margin. 4 parameters and 4 directions. 10 pixel, 5 pixel, 10 pixel, 20 pixel. Let's save it. Now you can see 10 pixel, 5 pixel, 10 pixel, 20 pixel. Okay. Now let's make one div and give it class of circle. It means I want to make a circle from this div. I am not putting in content in it, just I want to make a circle from this div. So how I will make it? We have one property known as width and height in CSS. So let's say I give its width to be 200 pixel and height to be 200 pixel. And once I save it, also I have to give background color of aquamarine. So once I save it, it acts like a square here as width and height are same. Now what if I want to make it circle? I can give border radius of 50%. 50% means percentage means percentage means from parent, and parent is div, divs, and div is having width of 200 pixel. So now it will give border radius of 100 pixel automatically. Okay, so that's why I'm using 50%. I can also use 100 pixel directly, but if I'm not knowing what is the width and what is the height, it's better to use 50% instead of pixel. Okay, is this thing clear to you all? Now we are done with border, padding, and margin. Uh, let's now see how to basically design our anchor tag. Anchor tag is one which we have. learn for links. Okay, this is a tag is also known as anchor tag. So let's study about those tags. So let's create one anchor tag. This is my thing for another site. And I want it to go on again same website at.com. Once I save it, you can see here is my link. Okay, as I created anchor tag, it automatically having underline and it's having purple color. Yeah. Now, what if I want this not to having my underline as well as color? I don't want purple color. I want normal text black. So what I can do here is either I can give class to it. I'm not giving class this time. I'm just putting for a tag. For underline, I have one property. I have told you text decoration. I hope you all remember it. Okay. So for text decoration, if I do text decoration none and then save it, you can see now it's not having underline. And what if I write color and I select black? Now my color is also black. Now it is link. It is clickable. I can click on it, but it does not look like a link because I have changed it CSS. Is this thing clear to you all? Now, one another very important thing I want to tell you that what if I want that whenever I bring my cursor on this text, now it is underlined. Once I place cursor on this text, after putting cursor on it, it becomes underlined. That is the property known as uh, hover property, and how to add it. It is basically known as pseudo CSS, and how to add it. Let me tell you. Suppose for A, I have to add some pseudo CSS, that is hover property. So I have to write selector in this format A followed by this colon and hover, and in this parenthesis I have to write it CSS. So let's try it out here. So if I write it here, and now if I make text decoration underline, and once I save it, so if I bring my cursor to it, it will become underline. Once I remove my cursor from it, it is not underline anymore. Is this thing clear to you all? Let's move to another concept of CSS. Okay, yeah, another concept, and it's very important concept in CSS. This is known as Flexbox. So suppose I have boxes here. Okay, okay. What I want on my web page. Suppose this is my web page. I want these boxes to automatically align in horizontal order with having proper space between them, or in vertical order, whatever suits right. Okay, I want this thing. What can I do? So in that part, I can use flex. Flex is the property that basically arrange my items in the order in which I want, either in row format or in column format, in a single column format. So let's try making it. For your convenience, let's make one heading here first. Saying Xbox. Now, in this, yes, we can put hover on any item other than anchor as well. So let's create a div here, and which I'm going to name is as square, and let's create it dot square, and its width to be 100 pixel, height to be 100 pixel, and its background color to be green. Now See, this is one square. So if I create many more square like this, if I'm here creating six squares, now these are my six squares and they are not having any gap between them. So what if I wrap them up in one div? Okay, I already wrapped them up in one div and I'm giving this div a class of flex. Okay, now what I can do is I can basically for this class we have if I want to put any content in text, I have property display and its value must be flex. Another property is flex direction, which tell me either I want to it in vertical direction or is on horizontal direction. So there are two methods, row and column. By default it is row. If I'm not putting flex direction anywhere, by default it is considered to be row. Okay, so let's put it here, display as my flex and my text direction as row this time, so this becomes like this. Okay, is this thing clear? Now if I'm giving okay, so this is how a Flexbox is working. Now let's create one thing. It's very important thing in the last concept which we are going to cover in CSS part. After with this we will start our project work and we will learn more than this in our project. Last concept is media query, one of the important concept which everyone must know if you are a front-end developer. See, have you ever seen that site is working in desktop but not in mobile? Have you guys ever seen this? That my site is working fine in desktop but not working in my mobile. Yeah. So this is there is one term known as responsiveness. If this is happening, then we can say that site is not responsive. And if I want to make my site responsive, we have to use media query there. Okay, so for using media query is basically concept of CSS which we use for making our site responsive. And this is very important concept you all must know. So let's do one thing. Let's make one div and give it class responsive. Okay, and here if I am responsive, here if I am adding its width to be 200 pixel, height to be 200 pixel, and background color to be yellow. Okay, so it's going to look like a square like this. Okay, also I'm giving it margin 20 pixel. Yeah, now what if I want that let's see it in full screen. Okay, what if I want that if I am going to go if I'm using this in mobile. uh, Hi Sujay, might be you have not given background color to those divs, that's why you're not able to see circle and squares. Yeah, so if I am having this in my browser and I want that if my browser's width is less than 480 pixels, I want background color to be another color like green and height and width to be 100 pixels, then what I can do is I can use media query here. And syntax of media query is very important, you all must know that how to write it, so do it very carefully. Yeah, so here we are going to write at the rate media Your VS Code is going to automatically complete rest of the things. Screen and one property, maximum width. And maximum width is 480 pixel. So up to 480 pixel, from 0 to 480 pixels, what I want to do is, now I have to write CSS in this part. This is very important. If you have any doubt in this, you can ask me. So what I'm going to do here is, my max width will tell my browser that from 0 to 480 pixel, you have to run this CSS on these classes which I'm going to write here. Okay. So and the rate media screen, and this is the condition. This is known as condition. That what is the condition on which this media screen is working. Okay. So let's write it for dot responsive. I want background color to be black, width to be 100 pixel, and height to be 100 pixels. Okay. So I want this thing for my this screen. So currently this box is having yellow color. So let's inspect it, and while inspecting you have to press shift plus control plus I, and you will be able to see it in mobile. So now see, here it is having yellow color and 200 pixels and 200 pixels width and height respectively. Okay. So now when I shrink it down, and as you can see, now once it less than 480, it converts to black color and 100 pixel and 100 pixel respectively. This is how media query works. Okay. Is this part clear to you all, that how media query is working? I think it is clear to you all. So let's move ahead. This is basics of how media query works. So now this is CSS and HTML part basics completed. Now we are going to do very important thing, projects. So before going to projects, if you guys have any doubt, you can ask me in the chat box, and then we will start making project. And guys, project is very important, and you will get certificate for your project. For getting certificate, there is one link in your description as well as pinned link in your chat box. You have to submit one link after creating your project. I will tell you how to create that link and how to submit it. So no worries, once you make project, we will host it, and we will make one live link of our project, and you have to submit that link. Okay. Okay, for media queries part, for media queries, let's learn media query once more. For media queries, we have this syntax only. Add the sir HTML के head tag में meta tag में device with yes, we have device with concept and meta tag as well. We can put there as well conditions as well. But okay, Naresh, so sorry for fast. I will be a bit slow from now. Yeah. So for this media query, in this media query, this is the syntax of media query first. At the rate media screen and followed by condition. What is my condition? Suppose my current condition is max width 480 pixels. That means maximum width of my device must be 480 pixels to follow this CSS. Okay. Now I am writing dot responsive, means I have to apply my CSS on this class under this condition. Okay, now in dot responsive I have written this CSS. That means if my device width is falling under this condition, that then this CSS will not run. Instead this CSS will run. Not run I mean margin will be there. Only properties those are same will overwrite itself. That means background color will now not be yellow, it will be black. Width will be 200 instead of 200. Height will be 100 instead of 200. Margin will be there. There is no harm in margin. 20 pixel margin will be there even in 0 to 480 pixels. Now is it clear, media queries? Okay. So, are you guys ready to start with the project? Can we start with the projects now? So, for project part, what we have did, I have given one link in the, please show HTML. Okay. This is HTML part. What do you want to see here? Shivani, we will see responsiveness once we will be doing project. It will be more clear. There we will be making completely responsive site. Okay. So let's start with the project. One thing I want you to do, I have given you one link in the description. You have to download all the images present in those description for your project. Okay. So for project, I am creating new folder here and let's name it project A. And in project, I'm creating one file index.html, creating one CSS file which is my um, style.css and creating make sure you guys create file with these names only index.html in your project folder. In your HTML CSS folder which we made earlier, you have to create one another folder with the name project, and inside project you have to create index.html and style.css as your files. Another folder you have to create here is of images, and you have to download all the images in that images folder. I already have that images folder, so I'm just going to place it here in HTML and CSS. Yeah. So now I have images folder as well as index.html and style.css in my project section. Okay. So I hope you all have done here. Once you've done till here, just let me know in the chat box. Okay. So let's start doing project now, and make sure this project is very important for you all. So first of all, we have to again create our boilerplate as we did earlier. So just exclamation mark and press enter. Our boilerplate will be created. Now let me explain you what is the project and what we are going to make first. We are making a clone of website, responsive website, and it's a food company, and name of our company is Jira Ram. Okay, so I am writing here title of our site as Jira Ram. Okay, in case you want to name your food company any other name, you can directly name it. There is no objection. I personally prefer Jira Ram as my company. That's why I mentioned here Jira Ram. Okay. Any other suggestions from you guys in the chat box that we can put instead of Jira Ram? Nice. Jira Ram. Hira Ram, Haldi Ram, Juhu Kitchen, whatever you want, you can write, guys. It's up to you. Okay. So it's your choice. You can write whatever you want. Okay. So just start. We are going to start making. So it started. So first thing, I want you all that you make this project along with me. अपना खाना या भूख लग गई है यार वैसे इतना सारा खाने का नाम सुन सुन के बट स्टिल ओके लेट्स मेक इट फर्स्ट. So what I want you all to make this project along with me. Why? Because if you get lag behind in making this project, you will find very difficult to complete it. So first thing is we are going to make navbar for our project. So let's make one div, okay, and name it navbar. Give it a class of navbar. Okay. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting here one p tag and I'm naming it Jira Ram. I'm going to put another now. Let's see. Here we can see we have company name here as title. Okay. Now I'm going to create one unordered list in which I'm creating some list items. This thing is those are going to my anchor tag as well. You will get to know why these all things are being done once I complete it. I have to mention it in this format. Home about services and my contact. Okay, and here I am going to reduce its size now because it would be easier to make it responsive. I hope you are going to do it with your own, so you will be able to see it on your screen as well. So here in my dev nav bar, I have one title of my firm Jira Ram and another tabs that are home, about, services and contact. Now what I want is I want to design it. Now I give them different titles. Title is my company name. We are going to speed up this process because we have already done all these things in my HTML in our HTML and CSS part. Now we are just putting all the things together to make one complete website. Okay, so that's why we are going to this thing in somewhat speedy manner. This is let's conceive give UL as our tab group class and all the list class of tab link. Um, just name it tab all the list and what I want to do is I want to put classes for all the A tags as my tab link. So I'm putting here tab link. Okay. Now what I want to do to connect this style sheet with my HTML part. Now you guys will tell me in the chat box what I have to do for connecting my style sheet with my HTML part. Link tag, right? So in the HTML part, if I'm using this link, and in this link, if I use relative is equals to its relation to style sheet, and if I am going to its address as style.css, it will link itself to that style sheet, right? Okay, so now in this style sheet, for my first thing, that is my nav. First of all, can you guys see that here I am having this extra space here, as well as this space. Have I anywhere put it padding, margin yet? Have I anywhere put it these things yet? No, but still I'm getting these spaces. So these are by default padding and margin of these things, of paragraph tags, of anchor tag, of list tag. So so that they don't interrupt in our process or in our project, what I'm going to do, first thing is, I will what I will do is, first thing I will, for all for all is marked as asterisk. Okay, for all I will make padding 0 and margin 0. Make sure you do this thing because it will help you to make your site good. Just save it. Now everything it looks like this. Okay, no worries. It's kind of messed up, but it will look good. Now for my nav bar, let's add CSS for my nav bar. What I want for nav bar is, nav bar must look like, here I have my name, here I have my tabs. Okay, so for looking this navbar, what I want is these are in same row. And what I told you for using for kind of row, I told you to use flex. So that thing I am going to use here. Now you are going to learn things practically. So for navbar, I have my display flex. Okay, and there is one property, justify content. Justify content will give space or justify my content accordingly. Okay, so for justify content, I am using here a space between. What it will do, so suppose I have my this nav bar, here is my content, okay, here is my name, here is my another content tab group. It will put a space between them, no space here, no space here. So how it will look, name and tabs group, space will come in between. This is how justify content will work. Okay, so that's why I have written here the space between justify content. So now once I written here, let's just first save it. Okay, it's going to look like this. Now give it let's say give it some padding of 20 pixel. Okay, now save it. Now I have to arrange these as well. So first of all, arrange them. Okay, so first of all, give my class to tab group dot tab group. Okay, just let me know that you guys are able to do this thing as well, of course, along with me. In my tab group, what I have to do again, display flags. And now in my tab group, what I want to do, list style to none, so that I can remove these bullets as well. So it will look like this. Now what I will do, now I will make my company name somewhat stylish. So I think this is the CSS name. Yeah, dot comp name. And in dot comp name, what I will do, font size I will make let's say 30 pixels, and font weight to bold. And let's make some margin as well, margin left to 20 pixels. Okay. So this looks like this. Now to my list items, for my list items, what I want is, I want dot tab to be, must have some margin, right? Let's say of 20 pixel and font size of 20 pixel. So this is how my um, navbar kind of looks like. Now what if I add, okay, Suraj, time means some break. Okay, slowly. Okay, okay. So this is so now in my navbar, I want to add some things, that is box shadow. Now what is box shadow? Suppose this is my box. Okay. Okay, Suraj. Suppose this is my box and I want to give it. Okay, you guys can take 2 minutes time and you can complete your time. We can learn box shadow after 2 minutes, and this is current CSS. Okay, so now let's start with box shadow. In box shadow, we have some properties which we have to give it. First of all, property name of box shadow is box dash and shadow, and values are given in the form of, first thing is h offset, second thing is v offset, third thing is your blur, fourth thing is your spread, and fifth thing is your color. Now, let us understand these things in detail. H offset means horizontal shadow. If the value is positive, it comes on right side. If the value is negative, it comes on left side. V offset means vertical shadow, and if the value is positive, it comes on bottom side. Sorry. And if the value is negative, it comes on top side. Okay. Comp name किसका property? Comp name is property for this title. Okay. Now, so this is H offset and V offset. Now blur is how much I want my. Just give me. So sorry guys. Now my blur is how much this my box shadow will blur this side. Okay. Spread means up to what distance I want it to spread, and color is what color I want for my box shadow. I hope these five things for box shadow is clear to you all. So let's give box shadow to our navbar first. Okay. So box shadow, and box shadow we have five properties: horizontal offset, vertical offset, and blur, spread, and your color. Horizontal offset basically means that value on your right side, vertical offset values on your vertical sides, and spread and blur is basically for the distance up to which I want my shadow, and last is color. Color represent what color of box shadow I want. Okay, so let's start to making it. Suppose I want box shadow. I don't want any box shadow for this navbar in horizontal. horizontal part. So I'm putting 0 pixels for horizontal, 5 pixels I want in vertical part. Okay, let's put blurriness of 7 pixel as of now, and let's put a spread of -2 pixel. -2 pixel means above from the direction. That means from to top side. And color, let's say put gray. Now let's save it. You can see we have this box shadow in my nav bar. Okay, 0 pixel as offset, 5 pixel as my vertical offset, 7 pixel as my blur, -2 pixel as my spread, and gray as my color. I think gray is somewhat dark, so what we can do is we can shift it to here. Now it looks fine. Okay, now I want width of my nav bar to be 100% every time. And another thing I want is, that means position of my nav bar to be fixed. Oh, sorry, right? Yeah. For position to be fixed, suppose this is my web page. Okay, this is my nav bar. Now, what I want is, when I scroll on my website, okay, my nav bar here is fixed. This is what I am doing from position fixed. Position fixed is making my navbar fixed on complete web page. Now, after position fixed, I have to add some background color as well. You will see why I require background color here. Let's put white only and Z index. What is this Z index now? So for Z index part, Z index is basically, suppose this is my website. Okay, when I am going to scroll it, some contents are going above, but this is fixed. As my this part is fixed, I want this to be on top, to be on top layer or of everything else, that everything that goes up goes from behind it. Okay, so this is basically doing this thing, that this basically Z index makes it higher, makes it its priority highest, that it comes over everything. Okay, so that's why I'm putting Z index here 100. Now width to be 100%. Now let's save it. Okay, is this thing clear? Now once I make width to be 100%, it now becomes to my complete screen. I hope this thing is clear to you all. So let's now move to another part of this project. Yeah, another basically part what I want to show you guys. Let's make another div and give it a class of top part. And now what I want you to do is make one paragraph tag and give it a class of top text, and right here bring people together with great food. Okay, I want you to write this thing. Below it, I want you to make one button, and in button you have to write let's talk and give it a class of button itself. Okay, yeah, Prakash, we will use Flex in this project, and then it will be clear to you that where to use these things. Okay, once I save it. Okay, so once I save it and I write top part here, So what I want to be of top part, first of all I want its display to be flex. Okay, guys, do write this thing along with me. It would be easier for you to just write it and then see results. Okay, display will be flex. Now flex direction, I want column. I want one thing here, another thing here. That's why I want flex direction column. So that's what I am using here, flex direction as column, and my align items to be center. What align item center will do? Align items center will make all the items in the center. Okay. Now justify content, I am also making center this time, and height of this complete part I am doing 85 vh. Now once you have written this, let me know. I will tell you in detail that what these things are, what vh is. So let's move to what is vh and what is vw. So as we have discussed, rem, em and percentage, there are two more, vh and vw. Now how do we classify vh and vw? Suppose this is my Suraj, I will show html part. Okay, Prakash, we are using Flex always because Flex is very easy to align our items in the way we want. As I wanted everything in the center to here and in column wise. That's why I just write these four lines and everything is according to my condition. That's why we are using Flex mostly. And Suraj, I will show you HTML part just a minute. So here VH is, suppose I'm using my mobile. This is my mobile. So this is considered as 100 VH. View height. Okay, similarly if I am using my desktop, this is considered as vw, view width. Okay, so I have put it here 85 vh, that means its height of this div is 85 vh, whether in mobile or in desktop. Now is this thing clear to you all? uh, no, so now html part of this is this. Suraj, you can see. Now we have written css. We have written css for top part. Now let's style our paragraph or bring people together with great food too. So for top text, we are going to write our css now. For top text, let's write css for top text. Let's make it font size, as this is main part, so let's make it font size 50 pixels, and text align center, and font weight bold. Let's give it some padding at the 40 pixel and 20 pixel, and let's first, this is how now my paragraph is looking, top text is looking. Let us give one width also, width to it 70%. You guys will understand why I'm giving width to it, because I want it to appear in this manner, bring people together with great food in three different lines. That's why I'm giving width to it, that width of this complete width is 70% of its parent one. Okay, now for this button, let's style this button now. So let's put background color of this button black, text color normal color to be white, let's say font size of 15 pixel. And what we can do is we can put here padding of 10 pixel in the vertical and 20 pixel in horizontal. Let's save it. Now it looks like this. But you can see in your browser that there is one border here. With this one border. So this is by default border of button, and we can remove it by using border none. Okay. Now I'm giving one border radius also. Let's say I'm giving border radius of 5 pixel is enough for it. And now I am putting one property here, that what I want to change design of this button. I want to change design of this button, complete button, once I move my cursor on it. Okay, are you guys able to do it till here? Okay, so let's move ahead. Let's move ahead. What I want, if I want to make it separate design on making cursor here, what I will use, I will use hover. As someone asked before that we can use hover apart from anchor tag. This is the example we are using hover on button. So on button, if I am writing hover, and then I have to write CSS and cursor pointer. Okay, background color. Let's say I'm putting one random background color that I think I used one time also, and currently also I'm using it. Let's say this color. You can put whatever color you want. Okay, text color to be black, and font weight to be bold, and box shadow. I want box shadow once I hover on it. Let's put random box shadow, 10 pixel, and 1 pixel of spread is okay, and we can use gray color here. Let's save it. Now once I bring my cursor here, you can see its style is changing. Okay, so this is how I am making my button responsive, button of different design on hover. Now let's move to another div, that is I have to put one image here. So let's put one image. Let's give it a class of main image div. Okay, and in main image div, I have already downloaded image, and I think you have also downloaded it. So in source file, I have this images folder, and I'm using image one here. Okay, so let's give it a class of main image. Let's save it. Now see what happened. This image comes here, and this is uh, this large image. Okay, so what we can do here is I can, after writing CSS, we can make changes in it. So let's write CSS for this. First of all, for main image, we have to write its width as 100%. Now it is of actual size. Okay, and in my main image div, I want it to give margin of 20 pixels. Now it looks fine. Okay, now this is the image I have added here. Okay, so you guys can write this code from here. I'm waiting for 1 minute so that you can complete this part. Okay. So let's move ahead. Now I want to make one div here, and in that div, let us make now about section. So about div, and in about div, I want two different divs. One contains my heading and content, and one contains my image. So let's make one div and name it about font div. That basically tells me this is the HTML code only. That basically tells me about content. In my content, I will put one p tag and class is about head here. And here you can write delicious food creates good memories. Okay. Now after this heading, I have to make one another p tag in which I will make my content. Okay. So in this content, like let's say I'm writing about home. Here I have to write Ram and food studio that works for their customers. And you have to just put a random text here, so no need to worry what I'm writing here. You can write whatever you want. It on not only I'm not writing Laura Maxim here because that sounds and that seems very low in actual websites. So let's put some original content here. It's not only for food catering but also for best services given to already the customers. Whatever the occasion is and whatever food you require, we are always there. Let's put just this content in this about content, and after it I want to you to make one button in which we will write our story. Okay, so again we are going to give class button to this. Now see what I have done here is I have given this button same class as before. So this button is having same class as above button. That means style of this button is also will be same as above button. Okay, now let's create one another div in which we are going to write image and about image div and make one image here source images. I have to put second image here and the class will be about image. Let's now save it. Okay, once we save it you can see all the content here and that too in very bad poor manner. Now we have to write css for it. Okay, so let's write css for this part. After the completion of this project, I'm going to put this code in the description as well so that you can take help from the code once we are done this with this. Okay, so dot about div, and then about div we have to first of all make its display flex direction is column, and margin is let's say 40 pixel on top side and 0 on horizontal side. And on horizontal side I wish to give some padding of 20 pixels, and I want to give it a background color of yeah, the f6 cd80. Okay, now let's save it. Once we save it, now let's write our css for about image 40 pixel and 0. Okay, now for so this is our content. Now for our heading, about heading, font size will be, let's say, 40 pixel, and font weight will be bold, margin will be 20 pixels, and zero. Now what about content? About content, we have font size 30 pixels, let's say 20 pixels, 30 pixel will be large, and margin of 40 pixels on the top and 0 on the left and right. So this is how this section looks after adding CSS. Okay, I hope you guys are able to do this. In case no, I'm waiting for you for 1 minute. You can complete it. This is CSS code for this. Okay, so let's move further. Let's create one another div. Okay, so this is our about section. What we can create after about section? Let me think. Okay, we can have some offer section. Offer section. Okay, so let's add one offers section and give it a class of offer div, in which we are first going to have heading of our offers for your occasion or events. Okay, this is our heading. Now I want this style to be same as my about section head. So what I will do, I will just place same class name here. Okay, now as class name is same, now let's provide some offers to the customers. So let's name it offer group, and in offer group we have one offer which has two things, heading and detail. So another div which says that this is one offer, which has basically one div which says what is the offer on, let's say, mini pizzas. Okay, and another offer on, another thing is detail. So now here detail is that, let's say delectable and bite sized mini pizzas are favorite of all age groups. Okay, this is I'm writing for my uh, mini pizza offer. See, for content part, you guys can write any content what you want. Okay, no need to write this content. You can just write any content. That's not a problem. Okay. So for classes, I have one offer title and another one is offer detail. Okay. So class of offer content. Okay. Let's save it. Now it looks like this. I want to give it styling now. So let's move to CSS part of this offer section. First thing, as usual, we are going to make everything align in one column, and for that, I think now you guys are able to answer this question, that how to align in column. Can you tell me how? So we have to use flex again, and flex direction will be column here. Justify content will be center. I have to put everything in the center, and I have to align all the items in the center. This is what I have to do. Now, for offer, what I will be doing is I have mentioned offer twice. Why? Because for offer group and offer, for both of them, my CSS is same. That's why I have mentioned it as comma separate. Okay, so that's why dot offer group and dot offer is separated by comma. That means they are having same CSS properties. But I have some other properties for dot offer as well that I am going to mention to using dot offer. First thing is margin. I want to give margin to separate different offers, and I want its text align to be in center. Now, this is my one offer. For one offer, I have offer title. For offer title, I want its font size to be 25 pixel and font weight to be bold. Margin bottom. Now I'm using that property that I've told you, top, right, left, and bottom. So I'm using margin bottom here. And let's say margin of 10 pixel. Now my offer looks like this. No. For my offer content, I want font size, not any other property, just font size to be 20 pixels so that it looks somewhat large. Okay. Now, this is only one offer I am offering here. So let's add some more offers there. This is my offer. Let's copy it. So this is now my offer. Okay. So this is how my offer looks like. You can change content of it by your own, or whatever content you want to put, you can put it. Okay. So after my complete offer div, I want to add one image in this. And again, for div, I have my already ready class, one main image div in which I am having image. Here I am putting third image, and what I will be doing is I will writing class of main image. Okay, so this is how to put images here. Okay, so is this part clear? Like offers thing for this part. Okay, now next section is very similar to our about section. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just copy pasting the code. How? I'm copying this about div, copy it and paste it here. Just this thing. Yeah. So this section is services. So I'm not going to change class names of this section because this is almost very similar to my that section. Just I'm going to change the content. That means our services in my this section. Okay, and in my content I'm going to put here at Jira Ram V hide ourselves, never turning down a client. Okay, so um, any number of yes. Okay, okay. So one thing I will do, I will put this code in my description once this project is over. So those who are also who missed some things that can take help from that code. Okay. So this is how we have to create our another section, our services. Okay, this is very similar to our about us section. That's why I just copy pasted the code, not anything else. I hope this thing is clear to you all. I have just copy pasted about us code here. You have to just copy paste about us code after offers and change its content. Content you can put according to your wish. Whatever you want, you can put that content. There is no um, requirement of putting same content which I am putting here. Okay. So after it, let's move toward final section of our project, that is footer part. Okay. In footer part, what I am going to do is see. I will make one div and I will name it footer. Okay. Now in footer part, for those who have missed something, just listen here what I am doing, and after this project, after this session, you can basically focus on this code, whatever I will put in description, and then you will be able to understand. But remember one thing, you are listening here. Once you are listening here, you will be able to complete it on time. Okay, so for div, I have made one footer div here in which I am making footer section. Now I have class of footer column which I'm giving just a class name. So let's say first of all say Jira around catering. So it's my column title, and another one is my column detail. So for column detail, and column details are we are a catering business serving the greater Chicago area and making sure your event is remembered for all the delicious food. Okay, so let me type here. Then let me do this thing. What I'm doing here is I have one footer column in which I have put this content. Now let's first of all save and see it how it's going to look like. It's going to look like testing. Now let's create one contact form in our footer column. Again, div will be same of footer column, and I am going to have a title of you have to submit this project by end of the day. Okay, you have complete this day today. You have submit this project. Okay, so class is your column title, and in your column title I'm writing connect with us as I'm making one form so that user can directly interact with me. Okay, so now after making that form, As I told you, for form I have to write everything in form. So I'm making a form here, which I'm giving class of contact form, and in that contact form, I am making one form groups. Okay, so my form groups are for styling purposes only. So class is form group, and its label is form label, and let's say first is for name, and I have mentioned name here, and its input value is class is form input, type is text. Okay, type is text. Next thing what you have to do is you have to add id, which I told you that it should be named as for. Okay, I will tell you Vasundhara that how to create link for our website. Type is text, id is name, and let's say name of it is name itself now. So let's create it, and it will look like this. Okay, now it's looking very messy, but let's just create it. We will add css to it afterwards. Name and two other fields, let's say email and contact number. So target email, for email type the name, id, email, and name, email. And another one, let's say for contact number. So for num name be, let's say num. Now what I want is I want my final div of same class, that means form group only. And what I want is I want one input type here, and in that input type I want to put a class of button. And I hope you remember what is the class of button which we have created. Type, let's and type will be submit button, because I'm going to submit my form using this, and value will be submit. Let's now see how our code looks like right now. Okay, looking very messy. Let's have another last div, footer column, in which I have p. It's again column title, which I have used earlier, and its name as contact us, and another p tag, and its name is called detail, which I am giving as siraram @gmail.com, separate space, blank line, and then I have to write 99656725 whatever number. Okay, so this is about my footer column, last footer column that represents that how I am representing my footer. So this looks like this. Now I have to write CSS for my footer column. So let's write CSS for footer. But first thing for footer, what I want is a display text. Flex direction is row this time, and sorry, column in this time. And once I reached in while making it responsive, I will make it row. Adding, let's say 20 pixels, and margin top, let's say 20 pixels. Let's save it now. Now for my footer column, I want margin to be 20 pixel and 0 pixels. Okay, now for my column title, I want font size of 25 pixels, and font weight must be bold there, and margin bottom must be, let's say, some give margin bottom of 10 pixels. Okay. So it will look like this, and once I create it, let's focus on column detail, whose font size is for 18 pixel, and let's put some word spacing in between as it's very congested. So this is how our uh, footer column is going to look like. Now for contact form, let's make display as flex. Okay, flex direction as our column and width as 100%. Now what width 100% is doing, it is making my contact form with 100%. Okay, now dot form label, for form label I'm making its font size to be 18 pixel, let's say for now. Again, font weight to be bold and width to be 100%. Now for group, I want some margin on my top side, and for my form input, I want some height, let's say 25 pixel, and the width to be 100%. So this is my footer looks like. So this is my complete website looks like when it is in this format. Now, what I want this website to be responsive. Now, for making website responsive, we have to add media query. So let's see where we have to add media query, and how to see that. We have to see that by inspecting it. So what I want is, the first thing is here my navbar is not responsive. Okay. So what I will do is, let's say maximum width of 600. Okay. So let's do one thing, at the rate media screen, and I've already told you how to write it. Maximum width of 600. I want my navbar to text align center. Okay, to display none. Now what the display none does? Display none will make it disappear. Once I save it, you can see here now only zero RAM is appearing on less than 600 pixels. Okay, after tab group, I have to write company name. In company name, I will write width of 100% so that it can come in center. And for my top text, this text, I will make its width 88% and margin top 60 pixels. Okay, so top text, I will make its width 88% and margin top 60 pixels. Yeah. Okay, now for all these things, like this thing, for these things, I want uh, another media query which I will be adding here, and another media query will be after 600 pixels to 1024 pixels. Okay, so at the rate media screen, and minimum width 600 pixels, and I have to add some what I told you that I will make display direction of column. So what I am doing, that is what I am doing here. Flex direction of row in my footer and justify content is now space between. Another thing I will make is dot footer column. Its width is 100% initially. Now I will make it width to 30% and align text. Text align will be now justify in it. Why justify that you will come to know. See now. After 600 pixels, my footer looks like this. So for this purpose, I made my text align justify so that it can look good. Now, for my last one, after 1024, what I have to do is minimum width of 1024 pixels. What I have to do is I have to first of all make changes in my about div. It means its flex direction must be row now, and about content div, its padding right must be 20 pixels. Okay, after it, what I want to do, dot offer group must be now display row. What is offer group? This is our offer group. Okay, so this is now only displaying it in the form of vertical columns. What I want is I want it to be in the horizontal columns two group at same time. That is what I am doing for 1024 pixels. So for doing that, offer group display text flex direction is row and flex wrap. Wrap is the property which will wrap only limited amount of flex items here. Like only two items are possible to place in one box. So this means it will place only two items in one box and two in another box. So this is why I am using flex wrap as wrap. Okay. Now in my after my offer group, I have to first of all add bit of my offer, that is 40%, and one another last part, that is top main text, and its font size to be 80 pixels. So now this is how the site is going to look in my laptop. Okay, so let me show you the site. This is this is the site we have made, and it's responsive in all the dimensions. Okay, now what if I want to make it uh, live? So you people asked me, so just watch this thing very carefully, that how to make your site live. So now as my site is ready, what I will do is open Netlify in your browser. Once you search for Netlify, click on Netlify. If you already have your account, you have to log in, else sign up. Okay, so I have my account, that's why I am logging in, and I already log in it. So once login, what you will be seeing here is sites. So click on sites. Okay. Now in your HTML and CSS, you have this project section, right? Where you have created your project. What you have to do in this site, in the bottom, once you click on this site, in the bottom you will see drop option here. You have to just drop your project folder here. Okay. Once you have done it, your site will be deployed. It's now deploying. Once deployed, you will be seeing one link here. You can click on this link. This is the hosted link of your website. Okay, so what you have to do, I'm just telling you again that you have to go to sites. On the sites, you have to first of all drop your project folder in this box. Once dropped, it will give you one link. That link is your final section, final submission link. sorry, you have to submit this link in the form provided in the chat box. Okay, so you can see, you can use this link in your mobile phone as well, anywhere you want. So once become you have built your project completely, I will submit project zip in description as well, so you can take help from there. Once you completely build it, submit it by tonight, and you will get certificate for, for HTML, CSS, and project building. So guys, if you have any doubts, you can ask in the chat box. Yeah, I will post the code for sure. So any doubts, you can ask in the chat section. You have to submit it by 12 today. Okay. For link once again. So this is Netlify after logging in, right? Once you log in Netlify, you have to visit to sites tab on the top. There are many tabs and you have to visit on sites tab. In the sites tab, if you want to change the code after deploy, you have to redeploy it manually. In the sites tab, you have this box in the bottom. What you have to do, you have to drop your complete project folder. Just what you have to do, you have to drop your projects folder in this box. Okay, once you drop your project folder in this box, it will upload it and it will deploy it automatically. Once deployed, it will provide you link here. This is the link you have to submit. Okay, so this is the link which you have to submit in the form. Now is it clear that how to create link? While doing this, you can watch this video again and you will be able to do it. Any other doubt you want to ask, you can ask. Okay, so I think this is all for today we are going to do. So you have to submit your project by 12 in the Google form, and once you submit your project, you will get your certificate. It was very nice talking to you guys, and sir, please increase the submission time so that we can search about those elements. Vivek, it's very small website, and 12 is right time to submit this project. Still, there are 5 to 6 hours. You can submit it by 12. Yeah. So I think we should this is it for today. We can wrap it up now. So all the very best, guys. It was nice talking to you. Take care. Goodbye.